This week's episode of Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico is brought to you by Baby Loves Tacos and its 2 locations in the Pittsburgh area. The main locale over in Bloomfield and the second location in Millvale, right over the 40th Street Bridge. Zach, Kat, Kaz, John, Ben, and the rest of those groovy cats serve up the best Mexican-style food this side of the Mississippi River, whether it be their huge burritos, tasty bowls, or the finest tacos around. Baby Loves Tacos will fill you up and make you smile. So when in Pittsburgh, do as the Yinzers do and head over to Baby Loves Tacos and tell them Twisted Rico sent you. Baby Loves Tacos, where everybody eats. This week on Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico, it's an encore performance with Collibrina. Before we talk to Collibrina, here is a cool tune from the band Loretta. Welcome to Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steve Ricardo. We just started you off with a track from the band Loretta. I ran into guitarist, co-singer Francesca, who, by the way, is also like a big-time music geek like myself. She, in fact, once played in a girls' school tribute band, which I think is pretty cool. The track we heard, which you can buy on Bandcamp, was called Laundromat. The band consists of Francesca on guitar and vocals, Vanessa on bass and vocals, Lane on guitar, and Mary on drums. Loretta, who I understand got their name from a combination of Loretta Lynn and the legendary Boston band The Nervous Eaters, who, of course, had the hit song Loretta way back in the late 70s. Cool stuff. Check it out on Bandcamp. Okay, I'm really excited. Now, let's welcome back to the show alt model extraordinaire, experimental filmmaker, vocalist, star of Onlyfans, and the queen of naked yoga, Collibrina. How do you like that? I switched out the intro a little.
That was amazing. I was like, what is he going to say about me? What's going to happen? I didn't even know.
When I said sensational, you really seemed to like that when I called you sensational, so I almost stuck that in there. I think I called you sensational sex worker.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty good. I don't know. I obviously am really narcissistic and enjoy plenty of compliments, so it's pretty easy to get on my good side if you use some nice big words that are on the positive side about me. So yeah, thank you for having me back.
Well, I think I am on your good side since you did come back. And it was only 1 month ago that we did the show with Chad. And the response was so incredible. And I know I asked you if you'd ever come back and do guest appearances. I didn't think it'd be this soon. But so many people have sent me questions about you that I was thinking, I got to get her back on the show because I can't answer all these questions. So what have you been doing? I mean, I know the pandemic's kind of gotten worse again, but are you keeping yourself busy?
Yeah, I definitely am. I think it's so funny that people send you questions about me because I am weirdly such an asshole when people try to send me questions about myself that you're honestly like probably doing a bunch of people a big favor. Because I don't usually like to answer them all the time. So what have I been doing?
You've never been cold to me, even before you were a guest on the show. I mean, I didn't write you and ask you questions, so I don't know for sure, but I know that I heard good things about you.
That's very sweet. I mean, I have no reason to be cold to you. You're amazing.
No, you're amazing.
I'm trying to remember anything I've been doing. I watch a lot of TV. I've been reading books. I've been cooking, eating, the typical like singing and doing yoga. And I think the most important thing that I've been doing is like years ago, I had like up in the air a kind of project to make a physical book with some of the like film photos that I've been in. And I am like, all right, time to stop fucking around and actually figure out a way to make this real book. I don't know if people care about real books. So like,
I do. Is it a book with your photos and stuff, or are you writing a book?
Yeah, it's going to be a book of photos of me, which, as if there aren't enough on the internet. But these are specifically, I think, a little bit less marketable. A lot of them are kind of like weird and sort of like film look, and some of them were like processed with like chemicals like caffeinol and stuff, like an instant coffee solution. So
that sounds cool, but you saying that these are weird, that's funny because I think your stuff kind of is pretty weird already in a lot of ways. I mean that in a good way.
Isn't it though?
Yes, it is. It's very, I mean, I've watched some of your experimental films and stuff, and I would hardly say that you do normal things.
And I just want to get weirder, which is so funny because people, there's always that line of, the marketability aspect of like how easy it is to just be like a pretty girl who like looks nice in photos. And like, I just honestly am such a weirdo at heart, and I can't get myself to not think bizarre or strange things or do like weird things. I feel like the other thing that I worked on very recently is that like I made an electronic book, an ebook with like my romantic partner, one of my romantic partners, and it's like based off of 1930s erotica.
Wow.
So everybody's all excited because they're like, ooh, erotica. And then I'm like, well, it's in black and white. And everyone's like, aw.
I like black and we already talked about this. We're black and white.
Oh yeah, we
fans.
already had this conversation.
We like black and white. So the hell with them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's fine. I'll make a color book at some point. But like I'd been looking at so many like naked lady photos from the 20s and 30s that I was like, I want to do a book like this. So I like got really specific with it with my partner who like posed with me and also shot the photos, which is very acrobatic. and kind of demanding, but we had some plans and we like set up a whole thing, and I'm really proud of the book. And so that took up my time recently.
I kind of feel like you kind of have, and don't take it the wrong way, kind of an old-fashioned kind of look where, you know, you could pull that off. Because I have this book of erotic postcards. They're all black and white from like 30s, 40s, whatever. I forget where I got it. And I can see you actually pulling that off because you're not over the you're not, I don't even know if you have any tattoos. I don't think you do. I haven't seen them. You don't have any tattoos, do you?
I actually don't have any tattoos, which is so funny because I didn't mean to ever be like the not tattooed model. I just like never managed to get any, but I would not by any means take it the wrong way. I know that I have a time traveling face and that like
time traveling. I like that.
I fit in more kind of like vintage aesthetics, I think, than like anything that looks really modern. Sometimes does look rather odd with me, or I feel odd in it. So then, since it feels out of place, I don't think I settle into it as well as I would. And like, I also have a bunch of those, like, I wish I had a book of it, but I have a bunch of like old postcards from like I have one from the 20s on my wall, and then I have like 50s from the 30s. Sometimes I have like a bunch of extra ones that I've collected over the years that like when I mail my friends presents, I'll like stick in like a 1950s naked lady with a present, and I'll be like, here you go.
You have a real good you have a great grasp on your own art. You know, that's what I like about you. You know what you want to do and how you want to present yourself, and I think it's working for you. I really do.
I really appreciate that. I think there was a lot of I like minored in art history in college, and I think it was very easy for me to look around and like see myself in a lot of the old paintings and like all of the art modeling that I did just like for painters. And I used to draw and paint myself. Like, you know, I would draw it like in Italy. I studied art for a bit. And so I was drawing naked people all the time before I even was a naked person in front of like an artist.
When was the first time this isn't one I have a lot of questions. We're like chit-chatting here.
You get to those.
We have a lot. We're chit-chatting, but wait till you hear the questions my listeners. I reached out to a lot of my regular listeners when I started getting questions. I'm like, you know what? I need more than these 3 or 4 questions if I'm going to have her back on the show. I want a lot, and they came through in a big way. Before I forget, though, there is one thing that I want to ask you. I realized after listening to the last show that we did, I started to ask you about what it was like touring with a band in a van. And of course, in typical Steve fashion, I changed the subject and went somewhere else, and I forgot to go back there. So that's the first thing I have to ask you. You told me you toured with a band. Who was the band? Where did you go? What was it like? What kind of music was it? Let's hear the whole story.
I think I'm actually going to leave out the name of the band because we were supposed to be marketed for families, and the fact that I am a nude model and a sex worker is probably not a good idea. So that's okay. I'm going to have to leave that
mystery
out
band.
I don't. So the genre was a mixture. I don't even know if like people are going to look for it with the genre. I'm like, how do I do this without outing myself?
Okay, let's not out yourself. Just tell us what it was like actually touring with the band, because I think you made a reference to me, maybe not on the show, but about sleeping on floors. And I'm familiar with that. I know what it's like for bands when they go on tour. Nick does too, who's in the other room, because he's been in bands that have had to sleep on floors too, I'm sure. So what was that like for you?
I mean, we got very accustomed to the smell of each other's farts. I think that's, I think people really like glamorize, like they're like, oh wow, like you're a model and you've done music, like how glamorous for you. And it's like, yeah, anyway, people are disgusting.
Were you with a bunch of guys?
I was with a bunch of guys, but I was not the only girl. I had female band members as well.
So you've played in more than one band?
Yeah, I've been in more than one band, but there's only one that I traveled with, and the lineup, like, when we toured, there was at least like one other girl. Usually there was two in addition to me. So there's a fair amount of girls, but like, all people are kind of disgusting. Let's be real. I don't know if that's like, something you want to hear from someone you might want to jack off to, but it's the truth. We're all kind of gross.
I've managed several bands with women in them, so to me there's no difference between whether it's a guy or a girl when they're on the road. You sometimes you have to chase. You could be chasing a guy or a girl down an alley at 3:30 in the morning, all drunk, or finding them in hotel rooms with somebody or whatever, So you don't have to explain any of that to me. I get it. I get it. I remember when there was a band called Fig Dish. They were on A&M, and they had went on tour with Veruca Salt. Do you know Veruca Salt?
Of course.
And
yes.
I asked the guys, I was telling them, like, I love Louise. I can't. And one of the guys says to me, he goes, if you were on the road with her, you'd have a real different opinion of her. Oh, God, I hope Louise doesn't get mad at me for saying that. But I guess, girls could do the same things that guys do. The groupies, the sex, the drugs, the rock and roll, the booze, the whole thing. There's really no difference,
Yeah, I mean, like, we all have the capacity to be, kind, but also gross and terrible. And I think, for some reason, traveling in music has been, like, a great excuse to bring out some wildness within us. I think, like, whenever I was traveling, I probably wasn't terribly wild. So it was probably more boring than my other bandmates. Because I would, like, need to get a good night's sleep so I could sing well, and I, like, wanted to stay healthy, which was actually really in vain because I ended up getting sick from my bandmates anyway. And like my last couple days on tour were really rough for me because I could barely talk and I still had to sing. And I was like so whiny about it, like I just had a very sad face on. I couldn't actually physically whine.
There's nothing worse than getting a cold when you're on tour. Oh, I've been there. It's horrible.
Fucking worse.
Horrible.
Oh my God. It's so bad. And it was just like something I did my best to avoid, but it was just so unavoidable when you're crammed in a van, like with these people. It's like, yeah, you can do your best, but like there's really only so much. Like there were times when things were really fun, and then there were times when it was just like, I'm so sick of all of you. I miss my friends at home and my loved ones, and I can't.
Did this tour?
I remember this.
Were any of the tours like really extensive?
Not as extensive as my my modeling tours have been, honestly. This one, I think the longest one wasn't even like that long. It's just like most of my bandmates had the kinds of day jobs that were pretty hard to just like leave.
Right.
And so
right.
but I feel like part of what made it such a strange experience was that like most of us had not been accustomed to traveling for so long, and so we hadn't really gotten the hang of it, because as I'd like done modeling tours like more and more, I really got the hang of traveling, and it didn't end up being as like weird of a thing, or like, as anxiety provoking as it had been before. Like this just became something that like, even with the unpredictability and strangeness of it, like you can sort of carve your own routine and like positive habits, whereas like when we were, doing this tour, most of us hadn't been away. Like one of us was like, one of my bandmates was a mother, and she hadn't been away from her kid like
Wow.
for that long ever. And it was super bizarre for her, like to be away from her husband and her kid for like, the longest time in her whole life. And like that energy was really hard against, the energy of like, our bandmates being away from like other people they care about. It was a lot to balance, and I wish I had like some more like fun and wild stories from it, but it just was like,
it's okay. We don't know the band. We don't know where you went. We don't. It's okay though. I was just curious.
I can tell you one ridiculous aspect of it was that we stayed in some crazy house in the Midwest that was like, sure, we have bands coming in here all the time. We have a room for bands to stay in. And we were like, oh, heck yeah, that's awesome. So we get in the room and we realize this room has not been cleaned since 1979.
Oh.
And it's so fucking dirty. We don't know what to do, but we're guests. So we're like, I guess we sleep here now. And I was so psyched to sleep in a bed. And I climb up to the top bunk and I move the blanket and I see the biggest, yellowest stain I've ever seen in my entire life on this sheet of this bed. And I just like start crying because I hadn't slept like properly in so long to the like best of my ability.
Sleeping
and I'm
in
like,
a
oh
pile
God, I gotta
of
sleep
piss.
on the pee bed.
Oh my God. That could have been your journal entry. I slept in a pile of piss in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, and like all of my, if only it were, my bandmates were like, oh man, this is, you're going to sleep in the pee bed. And I'm just like crying because I'm like, I was so psyched to sleep in a bed. I like put my sleeping bag over it because I just like didn't know what else to do. It wasn't wet, but I was like, why is it so yellow?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So listen, thank you for sharing that. I was just curious, but like I said, I reached out to a bunch of our regular listeners and I got a myriad of questions for you. Some of them are really weird. And I'm not going to tell you who asked the questions. I'm just going to read the questions because some of the people said, just don't say it was me. Number one, I kind of remember you talking about this on the podcast, but I don't totally remember it. I didn't go back and listen in a few weeks. Number one, I want to hear the toaster oven make some toast and record it, please.
Oh, yeah, my toaster oven is to be... I will make this video. Just stay tuned. I'll make this video.
No, what was it you said? You sing along to your toaster oven? Is that what it was?
Yeah, because it sounds like Barracuda.
Oh, right. Oh, my God. Well, yes, okay. So, all right, that's good. So you will, do that.
Yeah, coming soon.
Okay,
Barracuda
can't
toast
wait.
video.
Can't wait. Okay. Do you find yourself gravitating towards one creative medium more than others, i.e. film over photo, or more toward music than modeling?
That's a good question. I wish I got more questions like that. So it's been very inconsistent over the years. And to be like really honest with you, I had to be in survival mode for a fair amount of my life where I had to gravitate towards what paid me, which is such a sad answer, but it's true. So I had to do less music and more modeling because that's where I could follow the money for a while. In terms of what inspires me, that's been all over the place because recently anything really cinematic like video or, photos that seem like they're movie stills have been really inspiring to me. But even like wanting to sing music that sounds like a movie soundtrack, whatever that may be, something kind of like atmospheric, has been inspiring. I think when you're a creative person, it can be hard because when you identify as a creative person, you feel really crazy when you don't feel creative, and you'll get like your own amazing, terrible like identity crisis where you're like, who am I? I don't know how to make anything. What do I do? But like realistically, none of us are constantly inspired. Although like actually if you are a person that's constantly inspired, please call me and tell me what that's like because I don't fucking know.
Well, okay, the next question I can segue into it, but I was going to say I like your film stuff, and I finally joined your OnlyFans page, and I like...
Thank you, I noticed.
I like the... I had to. I mean, you're coming back on the show, and I said I was going to, and I can't believe I didn't do it sooner. But I ended up spending a lot of time, studying... researching. I researched your OnlyFans page, and there's a lot of good stuff there. I recommend. We're going to tell everyone about that as we go along because I want people to get on that page. It's good. And the thing I thought was really cool is the video, the greeting video that you send out when you join the page. That video was fantastic. I mean, you just have a really good knack for like interesting, like dark and just the whole thing, walking and the clothing coming off and the flashing, and I just loved it. It was fantastic. And it's a good way to get people's attention when you first go on the page. But this is a question all about OnlyFans that someone asked. Who do you attract to your OnlyFans page? Is it mostly men or women or both? And what would we expect to find there? I can partly, I wrote this down. I can partly answer this question because I finally signed up. And I just have to read the description of the page again because the last time I read it, people said it was the greatest description ever. So I have to do it again. Ready? I'm the most sensuous... I can't read, but I'll try. I'm the most sensuous specter in your haunted attic, singing sea shanties in sheer nightgowns and hip thrusting behind you while you stand in front of the mirror. I'm a model, banshee, performance artist, and multimedia nightmare. How could anyone not be interested in checking out the page just when they see that? But anyway... Who do you attract to your page? Is it mostly men, women? And what would you tell the listeners they can expect?
I think the most, so the people that I attract the most, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of men. Whenever I was looking at the statistics of my page, like when I used to look on Instagram, it would say that I had a high percentage of male followers. And I don't always understand my appeal to men except for the very conventional ways in which I fit into like what people decided was attractive in society currently. So like I get that, like I'm symmetrical. I get it, like the body, but my personality is I'm, kind of bossy and I'm not very sweet all the time. And I'm not like the kind of girl that's like, hi, I want you to fuck me. Like, I'm not really that kind of sexy internet girl, although there is absolutely a place for that. So I don't really understand that, although I'm grateful for it. The women that are on my page are usually, some of them are my friends. Like, I'll just give my friends, I follow a lot of my friends on OnlyFans. I follow a lot of my crushes that I wish were my friends on OnlyFans.
That's interesting.
There's certain, porn stars, sex workers, nude models, who I just, either they're my friends and we traded links, or they're people that, if I really like their work, I'll try and tip as well. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, I love your work. If you want, a discount to mine, that's, often what I'll do if I,
Oh, that's nice.
I'm, really...
That's nice. I need an OnlyFans page so I can get some discounts. You know who doesn't have an OnlyFans? I hope you know who I'm talking about. But do you know who doesn't have an OnlyFans page? And I'll admit, I'm a fan of porn. I followed porn over the years. I used to be good friends with two pretty famous porno stars when I lived in California in the 80s and
awesome.
90s. Do you ever hear of Barbara Dare?
Actually, I haven't. I should check her out, though.
She was
obviously,
my neighbor.
If I'm going to do work that's, as naked as I am, I can't have a problem with porn. In fact, I'm very pro whatever ways of, exploring sexuality. Even if I don't make the normal porn, I have no problem with it. Again, I'm,
Yeah, Barbara Dare was my neighbor, and we became really good friends. I actually interviewed her for a music magazine, and then she wanted to go to show. We started hanging out. We hung out all the time. She was really cool, and because of her, I met all these huge 80s porn stars and directors and stuff. And I almost got into it at one point, but I kind of decided
awesome.
It wasn't really the direction that I could go in because I wanted, I was so into music and stuff. But who I was going to mention that I love Carter Cruz. Do you know who Carter Cruz is?
I actually don't.
You got to check her out. She's not doing porn anymore. She's a DJ now, but I follow her on Instagram, and she's really interesting because she started doing porn when she was in college to make money, and she became way bigger than she ever thought she would, and she's kind of an icon now. I watched an interview with her, and she was defending porn stars that have left the business, that have told the cruel parts of the business, even though she's not one of them. And she's,
right.
She's from Atlanta, and she's really cool. I didn't know if you knew her or not, which is funny because the next question I have, I am going to out the person that sent it. It's Brian in Atlanta. I'm going to out him because he asked this question. When are you coming to Atlanta? And I'm thinking, wow, that's the question you came up with, Brian? When are you coming to Atlanta? So are you going to Atlanta, Collibrina?
I'm not going anywhere, dude.
Yeah, Brian.
Ask me when there isn't a pandemic.
Good answer.
I mean, I feel like the other thing is that, like, people ask me this stuff a lot as if, like, when I'm going somewhere that I'm, like, doing meet and greets, which, like, again, I'm not that kind of, like, I'm not that friendly. So, like, if I'm in Atlanta, poor Brian has, like, a very unlikely chance of being around me because I'm going to be, like, busy.
He has a very unlikely chance of anything at all happening. But sometimes you can't tell men that, well, she's a lesbian, but, that doesn't mean anything. Oh, I got news for you, Brian. It means something. So this is kind of related. Have you felt the difference in your creativity level since quarantine? I think I'll know the answer, but I'll let you answer it.
Absolutely. I think everyone has. Part of it is good because the downtime means that, like, anything that I'd thrown to the side, like, these books that I wanted to make, like the physical book of film photography, I'm now like, hey, I can focus on that because I'm not traveling and getting as distracted. But there also is the fact that, like, my friends are getting sick and I'm really, I miss my friends and I miss people in my life and I can't see anyone. So, like, it also will...
It's a bummer.
Really it's a bummer. Things are really sad. And so, like, it goes... it kind of comes and goes because even if I'll have more ideas from the downtime, I have less energy than you would expect during downtime because I understand the state of the world and the state of the country, and it can be really difficult to balance that and also be productive.
Yeah, these people that are in the conspiracy theorists and the ones that are in denial over this virus, I just want to strangle all of them, and just like...
Oh my gosh, same.
It's because of these idiots that we can't control this thing, They just refuse to believe that it really exists, and it's just so annoying. Yeah, I think all of our creativity has been affected. I got a lot of questions, so I got to keep this moving along here. Okay, what instruments do you play? I don't know if you play any instruments. Did you mention that you played any instruments?
I used to play instruments earlier in my music study, but I don't really play any anymore. In my life, I have played piano, violin, and flute. I really only use the piano to help me kind of like learn singing pieces. I can't act like a good piano player. It's really more of a necessity in my life.
Right.
I don't know if ukulele counts as an instrument, but I was very into the ukulele for a while, and then I was like, I have to stop being a cliche, and I threw my ukulele away. And no, I'm just kidding. I still probably have it. I just don't know, like, who wants to hear that.
I like ukuleles. I remember when Paul McCartney was played the George Harrison tribute concert after George passed away. He talked about how he used to go, over to George's house, and then the ukuleles would come out. And I love that story that he tells about how and he played something on ukulele at the concert. He started the song off. And I thought that was really cool. So I actually like the ukulele. I had a feeling that you played instruments. I couldn't remember. Do you feel like you could sit at a piano and play?
Probably not anything that isn't like super like rudimentary from earlier. Like really now it's more of like kind of making sure that I have the right notes. So I used to have a piano and I actually sold it recently because I could not move with it. When I lived in New York, I had a piano. I left my piano in New York with my brother. My brother had to sell it for me. Like, I was like, I can't get this from you. Like, he was trying to move during a pandemic. I was like, all right, time to say goodbye to this piano that I've left in your apartment for a few years.
That's
my brother's
sad.
really cool that he let me do that. So I have a keyboard now, but like that is not the same as a piano at all.
Okay, so you do play instruments then. You have a keyboard?
I have a keyboard, but it's really just for learning music pieces. It's not like I can play you a real song. I know truly that like my body and my voice are my actual instrument, and that is because I had to try and fail several instruments before becoming a singer to know that that was what I was supposed to do. I had to really fuck up piano, violin, and flute before I was like, oh, I am definitely a singer.
When things get a little normal, we got to get you down here. I'm sitting in a room and I've got a full-on drum set. Well, not really. Yeah, kind of. It's kind of more of an electronic drum kit. 1 million amps around me. I'm sitting in the middle of all music equipment right now. Basically, you would love it. It's like I'm leaning on an amp. But
oh, that sounds so cozy.
yeah, you're gonna love it down here. Okay, now we got some really. I kind of put some of the more interesting questions towards the end here. This is a really good question. It comes from one of my female listeners. She writes, you mentioned you were poly. Can you explain a bit about the hierarchy of your current or past relationship? Example, tri, quad, one main partner, male or female? That's a really complicated question.
It's a very complicated question, and so I feel like part of this is that, like, not... All right, okay. I have been in triads before. Right now, I am not in any triads or quads currently. I have a primary partner, and I have 3 other partners that are also very important to me. I used to not have a primary partner. I used to be solo poly for many years, and having a primary is kind of new to me, to be very honest. It kind of started around the pandemic when one of my partners and I were like, what if we lived together? I think this would actually be good. So I think hierarchy is sort of a strange word with polyamory in this sense, because, like, it's not necessarily, like, people are like, oh, you have a primary partner, so that's, like, who you like the best. But it's actually more about date-to-date compatibility, not, like, I like this person more than the other people. Like, my partners that I don't live with, I am completely, me personally, this is for me, I'm completely in love with them. Just because I'm not living with them doesn't mean I'm not, like, crazy about them, and I have not seen them in a while, and I miss them terribly, and that's its own thing. But I think my main conclusion in terms of this is that there's really, like, no wrong way to love, and I'm not really here to, like, tell people to, you know, do things the way I do, and I'm not one of those annoying poly people who tells you, you know, you're not naturally supposed to be monogamous as a human. I hate those people. I'm like, some people are meant to do one thing, some people are meant to do another, some people could thrive doing either, or, you know, it's really whatever works for whoever. But I've been polyamorous since I was 19, and in terms of, like, not all of my partners are allowed or, you know, should be public for people to know about. That's not fair to them. The ones that I am public about are, you know, I'm already public about, and, like, it's easy to find on social media because I won't stop fucking babbling about how much I love them.
I have to confess, I have been one of those people that have said that I don't think most people can be monogamous. I have said that, so I will admit it, because, you know, I've never been married, and I've had several women in my life over the years, and, you know, I've always felt like I've had relationships where I've been faithful, most of them, but, you know, there's also been ones where I felt like, you know, I need to take a break so I can go bang someone else for a couple of weeks, and maybe I'll come back. You know, it's like, it's not something I'd like to admit and happy about, but unfortunately I have been that way in the past. But I don't know, I could have never answered that question and possibly explained it as well as you did, so thank you. Because
I mean, no problem. I think it's its own thing that could take a long time to talk about. And in terms of, like, theory and approach, I have quite a bit to say. But in terms of, like, personal things, there's only so much that I feel comfortable sharing.
Right. Now, you didn't answer the male or female part. I think I already know the answer to that, because I think you pretty much said that you only date females, pretty much, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, like, I actually date all genders. I just am so annoying to men when they really know me that we're barely ever compatible.
I love your honesty.
I am
You've called yourself an asshole, a bitch, annoying. I need to go back and remember all the things that you called yourself. At least you're honest.
I'm not even trying to be self-deprecating. I'm just being real about this. Like, I'm very bossy, and your normal, cis, heterosexual, straight man is not into what a fucking bitch I am and how bossy. At first, they're like, oh, that sounds cool. And then, like, you know, which is fine. I don't need that. Like, I do mostly date women. I like all kinds of women, cis women, trans women. I like non-binary people. I like androgynous people or feminine people. I don't get along with toxic masculinity at all, probably because I'm so alpha. And that's really, you know, the main idea, and how that manifests in terms of individuals is how it is.
I really love the way you know yourself. I really admire that about you. You really know who you are, and that's a good thing. I don't think everyone is like that. Too many people out there trying to figure out what the hell they are, but you sound like you know what you are. This question, okay, did you want to respond to that?
Oh, I was just like, thank you. I was just going to be like, I do know who I am. But, you know, not everybody gets the chance to figure it out. Not everybody gets the time. So I've been lucky that I've been able to figure out who I am. I feel fortunate.
You're good at it. You are good. Okay, this is kind of a related question. I've been in relationships. This is from a woman. I've been in relationships with men and women, but never consensual non-monogamy. I find that most people I meet aren't familiar with it. Can you explain your discovery process with poly and share any experiences where you've had to propose the idea to a new partner? That's a complicated question.
It's one that I can answer, though, because I've been doing this a while. So whenever I usually share that I'm polyamorous pretty early, even in a friendship, just because I am so accustomed to prejudices from other things about me, like
you also
my
shared. You also shared. I just got to intervene. You've also shared it with 3,000 of my listeners. So okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. That too. Which, like, for some, I mean, I think, like, for some people, they're like, oh, that means she's available, and I'm like, I'm super busy, guys. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know why people think, like, if you're dating one person that you like, that person owns you and thus that makes you unavailable. I am just as unavailable as a monogamous person, to be very clear to all 3,000 of you.
I'm hoping this time it's more than 3,000. That's why I have you back on.
Precisely. So I think bringing it up whenever I'm really interested in, when I was in the past interested in dating somebody new, I would be very transparent with them, because I would not be able to handle, like, the pain of having someone be like, well, if you want to be with me, you're going to have to be monogamous. And I'm like, cool, but I've already been dating this woman that I'm in love with for like 2 years, and I don't really want to break up with her, but I still want to date you. So, like, guess you're gone. Like, because I think they sort of would expect that to triumph that. So I think it's because I know, like, you know, what I want, and I've known, like, what kinds of relationships I've needed. Like, it's not like I sort of would surprise somebody with it. It's not like when I was, like, you know, dating people and getting into new relationships or kind of shopping around more for connections than I am now, I never was like, surprise, I'm non-monogamous. How do you feel about that? Want to have a threesome tomorrow? Like, that's never, ever what I would do to anyone. I'm usually, like, super clear about it, because there is that fear of, like, feeling so, you know, connected to someone and then losing them because you like different kinds of relationships, and being like, well, this isn't going to work. Just, you know, in the same way that, like, if you know you want kids, and then, like, you should probably tell who you're dating or who you're serious with that you want them, versus, like, finding out after you've been married for 4 years and you want kids, and they're like, oh shit, I don't want kids. It's the same thing about me with non-monogamy, like, where, like, you're going to want to bring it up as soon as you can without it being, like, insanely weird.
You absolutely need to have your own show because you are really good at explaining these things and answering these questions, because this to me is a very complicated area, and you make it sound so uncomplicated. So I admire that about you. Go ahead, say thank you again, because I just keep unloading the compliments on you here. But
I'm going to say move over, Dan Savage.
You're funny. Okay, this would have to be my favorite question, although there are a couple more that are pretty good. But this is my favorite one because I love both of these women. Would you rather go out on a date with Aubrey Plaza or Kate McKinnon?
Oh my God, that is the best question that anyone's ever asked me ever. I'm like, oh my God, I've never been asked a better question. Okay, so I would definitely go out with Kate McKinnon over Aubrey Plaza. I don't think Aubrey Plaza likes women, so that might just be me doing my research.
Well, really? Because there's these great videos on YouTube that I've actually seen of her. It's great Aubrey Plaza lesbian moments, and there's one.
Oh, really? I mean,
yeah.
She might just. Huh.
The Olsen, not the twin, the older Elizabeth Olsen, I believe is her name. There's a real funny video where they're standing there talking to each other and she pats her in the ass. And you should see the look that Audrey gives her. It's like, oh, really? It's so
hilarious.
Inviting. It's like an invite. But Kate McKinnon and her, I love. She's kissed women on Saturday Night Live. It's a funny part of Saturday Night Live when she always ends up kissing a woman. And I love her too. I love them both. So you take Kate.
I love them both so much. They're both hilarious. I think, God, they're both really, they're also both gorgeous and stunning. I think I do really love the, in Saturday Night Live when Kate McKinnon plays the extremely drunk last woman at the bar, and usually the guest is someone at the bar, and they're usually not that into each other, so sometimes she'll comedically kiss men, and it's this combination of this is really gross, but also I'm very desperate and I would like some physical contact, and just sort of the way that she'll lean in to kiss some male guests, even one who most people might find really attractive, where it's I guess I'm doing this. It's hilarious to me. I think I'm used to being quote unquote the funny one, but I am not afraid to be with someone way funnier than me. So yeah, I think it would be Kate McKinnon, and I think we're probably just sort of both kind of doofy, and I feel like that might be it.
I think you have I think you have a chance at Kate McKinnon. I really do. I think you should, send her a DM,
Oh my gosh, can you imagine how many queer women are in poor Kate McKinnon's DMs? She was, I mean, I think it was a big deal for her to come out as a lesbian, and I don't remember a lot of Saturday Night Live cast members doing that in decades of being that public about it. It was a big deal. So this poor woman, she probably didn't do it to get a million women's numbers. She's just trying to be who she is.
Yeah, as a mostly heterosexual man, I have to say I think she's hot. And
she's beautiful.
Yeah, and she really is. But I would slightly prefer Aubrey Plaza over her, but it could just because of my personal taste, because I've had many crazy women in my life, and she seems like bat fucking shit crazy. I mean, that woman is a little nuts. So that's probably why I like her more than Kate. Kate McKinnon seems a lot more stable. You know what I mean?
That's fair. I mean, Kate McKinnon also talked a lot about her cat, Nino, and I'm also a cat lady, so I think I would want to date another cat lady, and I feel I don't know how Aubrey Plaza feels about cats, and this is a really big part of my companionship.
I love cats,
too. Someone who can deal with my cat love.
I love cats, too. I help out this no-kill shelter, Kitty Angels, and we've rescued 21 cats in my neighborhood in the last 14 months. And both of my cats, Moro and Angel City, passed away within the last 2 years. Angel City was 18 and Moro was 17. So I've been taking a little break from the cats. But I've seen some of your cat stuff that you've posted on Twitter, I think, or Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I follow you everywhere.
I post a lot of cat stuff
Yeah.
on the internet, but like 17 and 18 are very long lives. Like you gave those cats really, really good long lives. So that's awesome. And also like, that's great.
I've had a lot of cats in my life, but those are the only two that I actually have their ashes, Not to get all somber or anything. My kitties are gone. But, so I just had to say that because I know that you're a cat lady. We're both crazy cat ladies. What can I say?
Yeah, I mean, it's something about, it's, I think, scientifically proven that, like, cats will just make you super nuts about them. And, like, I think I'm, like, living, walking proof. Like, I love dogs. I just, like, don't have one. I still would, like, I love taking care of my friends' dogs, but I'm like, oh, I'll probably own cats like until I die, and then one will probably eat me, which is fine.
I love all animals too. I'm like a big animal activist, so I can totally understand that. But I've always just had cats, Okay, this question. There's only two left. This came from an ex of mine, of course, because they're always going to try and get their little digs in. And this is a good one. This is a good one. You ready? This is for you. It says, Steve is enamored with lesbians and listens to Tegan and Sarah and is obsessed with girl porn, right? That's the question.
I mean, wow, what a dig. So I kind of like made it worse when I was like, oh, I mostly like women, but I like men sometimes, if they let me step on them or something.
I can't help it that I like lesbians.
Is.
I can't help it that I like Tegan and Sarah, and I like girl porn. What's the big effing deal?
Well, the other thing is that, like, women have been marketed for literally everyone as, like, it's kind of only one kind of woman, which is our flaw, but women are marketed to everyone as a sex symbol and as, like, beauty and sexuality. So, like, even the most straight woman can understand the appeal aesthetically of some beautiful women or even an unconventionally beautiful woman. Like, so I don't really, I have no, qualms or like judgment towards you for being like, oh yeah, two women together. That's cool.
Well, here's the thing, I think because I had you on the show and I'm having you on again and, you came out pretty much as mostly a lesbian. I think she needed to make sure that you knew that I was enamored with lesbians, And of course, the Aubrey Plaza, Kate McKinnon, even though Kate McKinnon's more of a lesbian than I don't even know if Aubrey Plaza is, kind of like, just verifies. I mean, I know who sent this question, and she's trying to be funny. So, okay. Ha, ha, ha.
I like that you asked it anyway, though. You're like, you got a question from an ex and you're like, you know what? I'm going to ask it anyway. I think like that takes balls and I really respect that.
I don't care what people think about my what I appreciate and what I don't appreciate. I'm not going to change my my ways. And I do like Tegan and Sarah. So, big deal, right? But
yeah.
And the last question is kind of boring compared to all these other great questions. How do you handle men who hit on you?
How do I handle men who? I mean, I think it really depends on the setting, because like if men are going to hit on me because like they've seen a photo of me, I'm not really going to shame them because I get it. Like I'm not mad that there are photos of me in which I'm conveyed as an object of desire. Like I posed for those photos. So I'm not going to be like, how dare you? But I also am probably not going to engage with it too much because at this point, like, I'm used to it. It's not like I mean, yes, I'm this horrible, arrogant person who's like, I know I'm pretty, but it's more of like, I took, I was in this photo that I was hired for to look like a symmetrical, pretty lady. And like, that's how people are going to respond. Like, it's not crazy to me that some random man is going to be like, oh, I want to talk to her. But I also know that it's an image. It's not really me. Like, it's not me completely as a person. So when somebody hits on me because they see a picture of me, I don't really think they're hitting on me. So I don't have to do much about it.
You're really
person,
nice.
I'm usually super mean.
I just said you were nice and you said you were mean at the same time. So do men, do a lot of men DM you and like, hey, baby, I want to, like talk sexually to you and send you photos and stuff?
That happens to everyone who's on it. Every like kind of feminine person who's on the internet, whether or not they even identify as a woman, that happens to. that's just what happens. That just is the world. And like, so sure, it happens. I don't usually engage with that. If I get sent dick pics, I usually like, as in like, if I get sent them on Instagram, I usually will send infected dick pics back to the dick pic sender. I was doing that for a while. Now but it got like, and one of them was like, I think it's really creepy that you're sending me these. And I was like, you just sent a stranger your penis and you think it's creepy that I Googled infected penis? Like, I have Google. You decided to talk to a stranger. Like, I don't really know if this guy has any, like, hold over what could be creepy or not. Like, I have no idea who this is. Or sometimes, like, I'll be like, should I send this to your grandchildren that you see in the pic? Like, it's unsolicited. I don't care for unsolicited things. I know some people on OnlyFans do cock ratings. I don't know how to rate a cock, so I can't. But usually I'll just be like, I'll direct them to my friends that do rate cocks because I want my friends to get that money. Because you usually have to pay for that on OnlyFans. And if they want somebody to see their dick, I can send them there.
Yeah, I know a few girls that do the dick ratings thing, so I'm not going to be too judgmental about them. But I think that they're doing it because
I think it's awesome.
Guys like that for some reason. I mean, I was on another podcast and Antisocial that is recorded here, and the guy, two of the people on there were trying to get me to do a dick rating thing, and I wouldn't do it. It was like my friend Cactus, who's a suicide girl. She does it, and she keeps saying, "I'll rate your dick, Steve. Send me the picture." And I just won't do it. I'm just like, I don't want pictures of my dick on the internet. It's like, no. But you know what?
I mean, that's reasonable.
If other guys want to do it, that's their business. And,
and if they want it, they should pay somebody who does it on OnlyFans. They should not send them for free in DMs on Instagram. Like, seriously, just, like, go pay someone who does dick ratings if you want your dick rated. I think it's a great idea to kind of have that, because it's a consensual exchange, and that's really the issue.
And, you could do it for only $5 or some, low amount of money probably, so why, don't be a wimp, pay for your dick rating.
Yes, pay for your dick ratings. If you learn anything from this interview and from this interaction with me, pay for your dick ratings. I cannot provide them. However, I can provide you with many recommendations of those who can. And I promise you, it'll be worth it.
Okay, I'll get that list from you later. Okay, just kidding.
Yes.
All right, so here, that was great. I wish I had like an applause button that I could hit right now and hear all the applause. You did a fantastic job of like answering every one of the questions that was sent in, and that was fantastic. It was like, the Ask Collibrina section of the show. And it could happen again down the road, because I have a feeling that there will be more people, because you're very open and you don't hold anything back. So thank you. And here's this part of the show where you get to plug all your sites, all your social media, and anything and everything that you want to plug for the audience. Anything.
Wow. I think, so, I'm on OnlyFans. That's Collibrina. I have Collibrina.com is my website. I very recently impulsively uploaded one YouTube video, which has me singing.
You did? I gotta watch that.
It's just a music video that I put together, a few years ago, and I kind of didn't do anything with it, and I was like, I guess I'll just put this on YouTube, which I guess that's not how most people this is an impulse one night where I was like, I spent all this time working on this, maybe people should see it. So I put that on YouTube. It's somewhere. It's on the my YouTube page, which has no other videos yet. So you'll find it probably.
Is it just Collibrina? It's just Collibrina?
Yes, it's probably just under Collibrina. I think I'll probably put a link up to the video of me singing again on Twitter. It's very easy to see me naked. It's a little bit harder to find me singing, but it all exists. It's all out there. You just gotta try. I'm on Instagram.
You have two Instagram accounts.
buy my ebook if you want to look at vintage erotica. It's called Le Chevanet. I can't speak French very well, but it has a French name of a brothel in the 20s. It's very queer and very beautiful. Yeah, just give me your money or give other sex workers your money. Doesn't even have to be me. And we're good.
I really, really like your OnlyFans page. You know, I'll have to do more research on it, you know, but within it, I should say. But it's really good, and I highly recommend it. And Collibrina.com, I said this before, it's fantastic. And what is it, Bent Box?
Oh, yeah, Bent Box is where my super weird naked videos are, and they're very whatever. I don't even know. Some people are like, this is great, and some people are like, the music hurts my ears, and I still think that those are both really good feedback.
Yeah, you know, as far as I can see, you're very good, you're very successful, and you're creative. Yes, weird too, but weird's good. You got it all covered. You got it covered.
Thank you.
And that's why we love you so much on this podcast.
I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for coming back to the show, and please come back again.
Whenever you'll have me. Thank you for having me back.
My pleasure. And good luck dealing with all the shit that's going on in the world. I have a feeling that you're going to do fine with it because you're very creative and you have a good, your whole vibe's good. So I think you're going to be able to deal with it. And I hope everyone else does too, by the way.
Yeah, seriously, everybody, good luck. Like, we all need it. Every single one of us.
Thank you, and let's talk again sometime.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, before we go, we're going to blast a tune for you. From the Ace of Hearts story, here's an amazing song that I love, an awesome tune from Tomato Monkey. This one's called Come Down.
Come down,
Wow, I love the ending of that song, Tomato Monkey, Come Down, from the Ace of Hearts story, which was released this year on Ace of Hearts Records, produced, of course, by the great Rick Hart, who was on the Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico podcast a little while back. And that record, if you don't have it yet, it's fantastic. It's just it's all these tracks from the entire Ace of Hearts catalog. And that tune right there, I wanted to play that. It was really hard figuring out what songs to play when I had Rick on here. I could have played the whole record. So as time goes on, I'll play more and more. But Tomato Monkey, Come Down. Richie Parsons, one of the Boston rock legends, and his band Tomato Monkey. Okay, I do this every show for good reason, because we really do need to care about small businesses and any kind of business in general, but especially the smaller ones. It's really important that we continue to support these mom and pops and indie stores, places like Baby Loves Tacos, which I mentioned at the beginning of the show, along with JLS Design in Leicester, Mass., the Moonbeam Cafe in Oakmont, PA, Spectacle Eyewear in Boston, the Dark Horse Pub right here in Somerville, Anna's Taqueria, which is one of my favorite Mexican restaurants in the world. They're all over the Boston area. The Record Archive up in Rochester, New York. Record store that's still surviving in this day and age. And the 1369 Coffee Shop in Inman Square, where I get my iced tea and extra lemon on a regular basis. I also want to mention the Book Lovers Gourmet in my hometown of Webster, Mass. My friend Deborah has been doing an amazing job of keeping things going in one of the coolest bookstore/coffee shops in Worcester County. All of these fine establishments need us now more than ever as we make our way through these difficult times. So whether it's takeout food or ordering merch or buying your favorite metal band's newest release, or a book or whatever, please keep these small businesses going. Before leaving, I want to thank our engineer, Nick Z, here at New Alliance East in Somerville, Mass. It's another thing, too. If you want to record or you need something mastered or whatever, come to New Alliance East. Get in touch with Nick. He's easy to find. He'll work with you. He's a great guy. We've worked together on projects going way back, including the song that you'll hear at the end of this show. So I also want to thank all our patrons whose monthly contributions keep the Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico podcast going. I haven't done this in a couple weeks, so I'll do it now. Colleen, Kevin, Ellie, Maria, Chris W., Heather, Susan, Matt, Dave, Brian, Benjamin, Lee, Chad, Christopher, Kim, Hector, Chris P., and Kelly. Thank you all for supporting the podcast. You can also support the podcast if you're not yet. I'd love to have you. It only could be $1 a month or as much as you want. It's patreon.com/Twisted Rico. Please contact me at twistedrico@gmail.com, and you can follow the Instagram page at Twisted Rico or Twitter at Blowing Smoke BS. There's also a Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico Facebook page, and several of these shows can be found on YouTube. This is Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steve Ricardo. Till the next time we say goodbye, keep the rock and roll alive. We love you, Busy Phillips.